there's a lot of valuable information here. I want to make sure that we get it to you in the right manner and help all of you to be successful real estate agents. So my name is Darren Geddick. I'm a productivity coach in Keller Williams Greater Hartford. We have a program of about 43 agents right now. I've been with Keller Williams for about a year and a half and have enjoyed every minute of it. And it's been fantastic. It's been really good. There's a lot of great information. There's a lot of things that set Keller Williams apart from other firms that are out there. And you'll see it as you go along here. So Marissa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marissa Pastrito, and I am also with Keller Williams Greater Hartford. So I'm the Director of Market Center Services. I work very closely with Darren in productivity coaching, and then also with our leverage services department. That way we can continuously grow and improve and deliver even more value to all of our agents. So I have been with Keller Williams just under 2 months, but I do come from executive leadership with other large local brokerages. And I can tell you, hands down, Keller Williams, best career decision I've ever made. So anyone would ever like to explore more about Keller Williams or find out why I made the transition, I'm always happy to talk to anyone who would like to talk offline.
Perfect, great, thank you. So feel free to jump in if you have any questions. We're going to be monitoring the chat room. We'll also, if you have anything that you need us to clarify at that moment, let us know. If there's a topic that comes up that's going to take us off track, then we'll direct you to resources or afterwards, or we'll have a discussion at another time for that. We'll also put our contact information in the chat room at some point here, just so that if you need to reach out and get clarification, we'd definitely love that. So for today, we're going to be going over the Powerful Language Gets Results session of Ignite as part of Sparks. So we're going to spend about the first hour and a half, maybe hour and 45 minutes just going over material, how important scripts are. Okay. Then we're going to actually take a bit of a break, about a 10-minute break, depending on time. We'll do some script practicing. Okay. And then from there, we're going to do some role playing. Okay. We're actually going to make some calls and incorporate what we've learned. All right. And if we have time, one thing that we want to incorporate is we're going to have a Stump the Presenter session at the end, where if you
I think you're muted.
Yeah, Darren.
All right, there we go. Okay, perfect. That's what happens when you're not the host there. You miss track of that, click on the wrong button. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to spend, after we go through the training session, we'll have a quick break. We're going to do some script practicing and role playing with other agents in breakout rooms. We'll actually go out and we'll make calls ourselves. And then at the end, if we have time, we're going to actually have a session where we call it Stump the Presenters. So if you ran into objections or if you didn't know how to handle a situation with a call, you can run it by us and we'll go over that and we'll see if we can help you out so that you don't run into that next time, okay? Now, with everything that we do here, I mean, obviously this is voluntary, but you can choose how you want to participate, all right? For the most part, there's a lot of valuable information. And we're going to show you why practicing and being heavily involved in scripts especially is going to help you with your business. But it's up to you to incorporate that engagement. Okay, this all really relies on your shoulders about how much you want to grow your business, how successful you want to be. So it's up to you in terms of choosing how you want to participate, at least at this point. All right. So when we look at the goals of Spark, okay, Spark is the first part of Ignite. Elementals is the second. So Spark is designed to help agents to get their first appointment. Okay. So we look at that as being our main focus is getting an appointment. The second part in Elementals is going to be where we learn what we do when we get that appointment. So it's critical now that we understand how we go about getting those appointments, because if we don't have appointments, we don't have contracts. If we don't have contracts, we don't have closings. So for us, it's really about mastering these skills and these foundations that we have here. And if you want to incorporate it and you want to basically compare it to the industry we're in, building a house, right? If you build a house, you don't start with a second floor and start building from there. What you do is you dig a hole, you pour a foundation. That foundation pretty much enables you to build the rest of the house. If you don't have a solid foundation, everything else falls apart. That's why everything that you'll see in Ignite is there it's designed to give you that foundation so you can be a successful agent, okay? Now, when you come out of real estate school and you pass the exam, you get your license, we know a lot about rules and regulations, right? I call that the book smarts of being a real estate agent. However, we don't necessarily know the street smarts. We don't know that once we graduate and get our license, if a neighbor comes up to us and says, I'd like you to sell my house, what do? We don't know the first step. Or if you have a friend who says, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, what do? We don't know. That's what Ignite is designed to do, is to give you those street smarts so that you can actually get into business and grow from there. So when we say that powerful language gets results, what do you think that we're going to cover today? What are some ideas on what we're going to be covering here? Anybody have any thoughts? Oh, we might have a different link out there.
Okay, so people think we're going to cover scripts today.
Okay, perfect. Yep,
And
absolutely.
conversation starters.
Definitely, definitely. Negotiation tactics, being careful with our words, selective. Yeah, absolutely. It's basic communication. That's our way of starting the conversation, getting out there, talking to people, right? Knowing what to say, having faith in ourselves to do that. And that's exactly what we're going to cover. It's going to be big on the scripts. And if that scares you, then that's fine. Typically, people get nervous when you mention scripts. However, that's the most essential tool that we need in order to be successful real estate agents. Okay, and that's what we're going to cover today. Confident verbiage. I like that. That's perfect. Exactly. So if we go to the next, what's that?
And if the thought of scripts are making you nervous, it's probably just like everyone else in this room, because we hear scripts, we tense up, we think, oh no, what does that mean? What I can tell you firsthand is that Darren is probably one of the best people I have ever heard with scripts. When he talks to you, you feel like it is so natural and so fluent. You have no idea where he pulled from or that he was even referring to a script. So don't get nervous. Totally non-judgment zone here. And the more you practice your scripts, the more fluent you'll become, and then it'll become second nature to you.
Thanks, Marissa. I guess apparently I owe you money, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. So yeah, if we go to the next slide, this actually is a slide that we have in all of the Ignite presentations. It essentially shows what the successful agents do every single day. There are things that they do to grow their business. There are things that they do to run their business, okay? And if you look at it, you can ask anybody in your market center. Go to all the successful agents in your market center. Ask them how they started. And they're all going to tell you the same thing, right? They're all going to say that they started off with scripts and they contacted people. They learned the scripts, they contacted people. It's pretty simple, right? We talk about success leaving clues. We even have the bold law that says success is simple, not easy, right? It's a simple plan, all right? Every one of you that has the MREA, right? Okay. Model number 2, lead generation, right? It's all right there in terms of the script practice. Even if you look at Shift, the Shift book, all right? If you go to tactic number 5, okay, get to the table, lead conversion, all of that involves scripts. In order for us to essentially be successful and model the behavior of those successful agents in our market center, right, we want to do what they do and ask them. I guarantee you that that's exactly what they're going to say. They're going to basically say that they start off with scripts, all right? And we want to model that, all right? We want to follow the same path as everybody that was in there, all right? When we get into this business, right, everybody comes in and they say, well, you know, I want to be a successful agent. I want to be a successful agent, all right? But when it comes to the work, everybody is like, well, I don't know if that's really for me, all right? So if you look at it a different way, all right, we want to be the noun, but we don't necessarily want to do the verb, okay? We always want to be the noun, but we don't want to do the verb because the verb requires work, right? And the work involves a lot of foundational things, a lot of fundamental things like script practicing, all right? It's just like the person who wants to be an author, but they don't want to write. And they want to say that they climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, but they don't want to climb. They don't like doing that, okay? All right? We've got to basically put this to work for ourselves. In order for us to be successful, we've got to put in the work, all right? The amateur is going to look at the noun, okay? They're going to focus on the noun. They're going to focus on the outcome and say that that's what I want, but they're not going to put in the work. The professional is the one that looks at this as being a long-term game, all right? They're the ones that are going to put in the work. They're the ones that are going to actually see the process being the fun part of it that's going to drive the results. And we want to be the professionals. So focusing on the process and focusing on these fundamentals is really what's going to help us to achieve our goals. We'll get to our goals without even realizing it because we're focused on the process, okay? All right? Think about this too. We always talk about practice, especially script practice, things like that, right? If you look at professionals, people who are deemed professionals that are out there, like doctors and lawyers, right? Isn't that what they do? Doctors practice medicine, lawyers practice law, right? We need to be in the habit of practicing as well, and that's what we do. We're consistently practicing every single day in order to get where we want to get where we want to be, and that involves really focusing on the scripts, okay?
And I can tell you firsthand that just with teaching large real estate licensing classes, I have hundreds of people come out of these classes. And do they know what that textbook says? Absolutely. Are they prepared to practice real estate in the real world? Absolutely not. And it doesn't even matter if you're brand new or if you've been in the business for some time. Scripts are almost like a necessary evil, right? Because things may sound good in our head, but until you actually have that conversation, you're not sure what you're getting into. And people will throw different things at you. You'll hear objections, you'll hear talking points, and you don't want to feel tripped up and confused. And really the only way to avoid that is to know your scripts in and out so that it's so conversational and fluent, but that you're prepared and you're leading the conversation, right? Because the minute you lose control of the conversation, your appointment's over. So you really need to maintain that control. The only way to do that is to be prepared, and scripts are the way to prepare you.
Definitely, definitely. If we take a look at the next slide, okay, we take a look at what successful agents do to grow their business and run their business. Look at all these areas right here, okay? You're looking at 7, okay, of the 13 basically facets that are there that essentially communication, script practice come into play, all right? That's how essential this is, all right? Successful agents focus on the things that are going to grow revenue, the activities that are going to grow revenue. And that's why it's essential that they actually have these conversations, that they communicate, all right? It comes in all facets of their business. They internalize the scripts. They use them for every one of these steps in terms of growing and running their business. All right, so we take a look at here. This is the agenda. This is what we're going to be covering today. All right. So for purposes of what we're going to cover, okay, first thing we're going to talk about the purpose of the scripts, right? We're going to basically find out what it is, why do we use them, gain the knowledge. If we gain the knowledge, we're going to get the confidence. If we have the confidence, then at that point, we're going to be able to use these scripts in and out in every conversation that we're going to have, okay? We're also going to talk about the benefits of using scripts, right? The biggest benefit is that we're actually going to get business. We're going to get money coming in, and then we're going to be able to grow our business from there, right? The third thing is that we're not going to memorize scripts. We're actually going to internalize scripts, all right? So we're going to take that memorization right off of there. We're going to be internalizing the scripts. You want this to sound natural. You want it to sound like you're having a conversation, whether it's your friend from school or whether it's somebody you just met in the grocery store in the line right in front of you, okay? You want it to sound as seamless, as natural as possible, all right? And then we also have to practice, right? We just talked about that. Practicing is essential. So we want to take what we've learned and we want to put it into practice so that way we can put it into action, all right? Just like you would in any other industry, all right? You don't just jump right in and run a 5 miles or a 10-mile marathon, whatever it is you're going to do. You've got to build up to that. You've got to practice it, just like everything else. And that's what we're going to do today.
And Darren actually touched on something super important. He said confidence. What I can tell you from experience is that as soon as you have confidence, your competition can't touch you, right? Because then the way you present and the way you come off and the way you just flow through the process, just so natural, like you don't miss a beat, that comes from confidence. And when you have confidence, you exude it, people can tell, and no one will be able to touch you at that point.
Great point, great point. Okay, so let's take a look at the big picture, right? So if we're going to focus on knowing, understanding, and internalizing scripts, okay, that seems like, you know, a very big part of what we do, all right? And it's going to help us in so many different areas. Because as new agents, when we come in, all right, what are some of the things that we're afraid of, all right? Why don't we want to make that call? Why don't we want to meet with people? What are some things that we're afraid of?
Most people are just afraid of rejection.
Exactly, rejection, yep. What else?
I don't really want to hear from a salesman, and I don't want to be, you know, diminished as a friend or an acquaintance by diluting it with being a salesman.
Well, we're going to cover that too. Okay, just be careful of the whole sales mentality here too. All right, but yep, that's a great point as well. What else? I hear this a lot with new agents. They don't want to talk to anybody because they're afraid they're going to say the wrong thing. They're afraid they're not going to know what to say, right? Eric, similar to what you're saying, they don't want to get yelled at, right? If you call somebody and it's somebody that you don't know and they yell at you and they hang up on you, right? It's not really a good feeling, is it?
You know, it's funny. When I call people that I haven't talked to in a while, I never realized what good friends I was with them in the past. And reconnecting with them, it's just been great.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I've found it to be, you know, something very approachable to say, oh, you know, this is what I'm doing now. I have this great link that can give you all this information. Can I send it to you? And they all say yes.
Of course.
And,
of course.
you know, you just go a little further and, you know, next thing you know, you're having a cup of coffee with them.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, all the people that we have contacts in our phone, right? Hopefully they're not people that hate us. Those are difficult conversations. The only reason they're in our phone is because they trust us. We've got a rapport with them, right? Half the battle is won. So when we actually look at reaching out to people, all right, I like to look at it as being 3 circles. The first circle is our sphere of influence, the people that we know really well. All right, those are the people that love us, that trust us, okay? So we've already got that rapport factor. Now we just have to let them know we're in real estate. All right, we're not selling anything. We're just letting them know we're in real estate. Then you look at that second circle. Those are the people that you kind of know. Maybe people you know on a first name basis, right? Person who delivers your mail, all right? Person maybe that you get a coffee from day in and day out. The receptionist at your dentist's office, things like that. All right, those people, hey, they engage in real estate, right? So now you got to kind of get to know them and then let them know you're in real estate. And then there's a third circle, the biggest circle of them all, the people that you don't know. And those are the people that you're going to add to your database, right? Now, again, as we build up to that point where we're talking to people that we don't know, all right, we're actually now having to develop that trust and the rapport and letting them know that we're a real estate professional, right? So now it becomes a bigger game for us at that point. But by us starting with people we know, we're building up our skill set. And that's why we have the scripts, and that's why they go in that order, right? The scripts that we've been working on the past few days, it's all about reaching out to people that you know, right? And that's going to help us, all right? It's going to help us to essentially lead generate, as it says right here. We want our business to grow. We want to continue to add to it. We want to be successful real estate agents. That's what we do, all right? We want to be able to control conversations, right? The person who asks the questions controls the conversation, all right? And it's not just yes, no questions. We're talking open-ended questions, all right? The key to this business is asking the questions and the open-ended questions. Get the client to talk, all right? That's important, all right? And what you're going to do is as they're talking, all right, if you know what you're going to say, all right, you're going to be able to listen to what they have to say. And listening is key. Listening is essential. If you start to go down a path and they say something that takes you away from that path, you better go down that path too. Don't continue down the path that you were on, because then they're going to know that you're not listening, and that whole trust is broken at that point. We want to be able to listen to what they're saying. And if we know what we're going to say, it makes it that much easier, right? We're going to be able to, we want to communicate our value, right? Our value proposition. As we start to develop in this business, we're going to come up with our value proposition. And look at it this way, all right? Let's say that you were in a room with 4 or 5 other real estate agents, and a person walked in and is looking for somebody to list their house. And they say, all right, I'm going to ask each one of you the question, why should I pick you to list my house? What are you going to say? Because I'm a good real estate agent? Okay, next. Right? What are you going to bring to the table? How are you going to communicate the value that you bring, your value proposition? That's extremely important, right? Okay. We want to uncover motivations. When you talk to folks that are expired or for sale by owners, that's the biggest question you can ask. Okay. Why are you selling? Why are you looking to sell? Right? Where are you looking to go? What are you looking to do? Okay. Things like that. We also want to make sure that we can handle objections. That's where this comes in. And this is where the challenge comes in. There's a lot of folks, they hear an objection, they immediately say, okay, thanks, and they hang up. You want to be able to overcome those objections, break down that barrier, talk to them, because you're there to help them, right? You're there to help them to either get the house bought or sold, whatever you're going to do, but you've got to overcome those objections. And if one basically forces you to hang up, you got to go back and practice some more, okay? All right. And overall, and Marissa touched on this too, it's about gaining confidence. We gain the knowledge leads to confidence, and confidence leads to business. And that's exactly what we want to be, all right? When I first got in this business, I was with another company. I'm not going to name names, but it rhymes with Century 21, okay, just for purposes here. And I fought this all the way through. It took me 9 months before I actually did a piece of business because I didn't want to learn the scripts. But the minute you do that, and you focus on that, you start to do that, it's amazing. The world just opens up to you all of a sudden, and people are like, wow, okay, I've got a real estate problem. Can you help me with it? Sure enough, absolutely. And things take off from there. So that's the biggest thing. Okay.
And right now, Darren, the reoccurring theme we're seeing in the chat is people are afraid of not knowing an answer, losing their authenticity, and feeling awkward. But what I can tell you is if you're internalizing scripts and using them in the right way, Darren and I can sit here and have the same exact script and it'll sound totally different based on our delivery and based on how we've tailored it to us, because our mannerisms, the way in which we speak, it's different. So if you're actually taking a script and utilizing it properly, the authenticity is there because you have made it your own, and the awkwardness also goes away because there will be no oh, I'm not sure. Like that all just goes away and it flows in so naturally. And I will also tell you, I was very hesitant on scripts because I knew that people liked me for me. So I was not going to sit there and read a piece of paper What I've always done with scripts is I will take it, I will dump it into a Word document, I will see the way the script is, and then I will fill it in with the way I would actually speak. So now I have all the super important pieces of the script. I have all the major points that resonated with me, but I've tweaked it slightly so that it sounds like it's me. So that when someone is used to Marissa, there's not Marissa the person and Marissa the realtor. They're the same person, right? They have to be. So take it, internalize it, make it yours, and the awkwardness will go away. You'll always have an answer, and you'll still be authentic.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, it's more of a statement, I guess. The awkward part for me that I really struggle with is not so much the script, because I really understand that and can see its value. And I think that part is good. And I've been part of a group that's been doing a scripted role play, so that's been great. It's the actual authenticity of calling someone. So my really close friends, of course I call them. Well, we talk about this on probably a daily basis. So we're already in that, conversation constantly. For me, there's a big jump between that part of the sphere to the next group, which is probably my Facebook friends, people I maybe worked with, but I haven't spoken to in 2 or 3 years. And when I did speak to them, it was via text. We weren't calling each other ever. So I did it yesterday, and I have to admit, it was fine. The conversation was good, but it did feel weird. I haven't spoken to her in 6-7 years. And now I'm calling her to tell her about my new business. So that's for me the big struggle.
Right. Well, that's the thing too, is that if you're calling with the business aspect in mind, okay, that's why it's awkward. But if you're calling to check in, right? Like for us, when the pandemic hit, okay, in March, we reached out and we had everybody on our team reach out to everybody they knew. The conversation was not real estate. It was just checking in. How are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a few months. I know with everything going on, it's crazy. How are you doing? Right. And a lot of times too, if you're asking people how they're doing, like, well, how's work? Do you still have your job? Have you been furloughed? Things like that. What are they going to say?
Well, she did. She responded, I see that you've been moved on into a new, and like I said, the conversation went well.
Yeah.
It just did. It was still difficult because I knew why I was calling.
Right. It's a
and it's not that I don't care, because I do, but it was still just, that was the difficult part.
Absolutely. Well, with the script practice that comes along with it, you're going to be like Marissa said, where the Marissa, the friend versus Marissa, the realtor, are going to blend in the same. So it's just going to basically be very seamless. And when you have that conversation with them, okay, real estate is not going to be the first topic that comes up unless they're looking to do something. It's more along the lines of reaching out, being genuine and sincere in what you're doing in terms of the call. And then if that comes up in conversation, then that's great. They're going to say, well, how's the real estate market? And you say, well, are you a buyer or seller? And go from there, whatever it is. Okay. But it's one of those conversations that starts off and it's got to be genuine. It's got to be natural. And you'll know how to blend in the real estate side of it. And that's why we start off with the people that we know, because of that fact. We've got to get used to explaining our value and what we bring and how we can help them out if they have an issue.
And I think the other thing to remember is you're going to come from a place of value, right? Not like just use me as your realtor because you need help in a real estate transaction, but I have so much value I can provide you. And with each person, the value you're going to provide may be slightly different. So you may truly call to check in. How are you? And then when it comes up, don't pose it as like, oh, I want to sell you a house, or are you looking to buy? Just give them something of value first, let them take that little nugget, and then that'll make them warm to you, right? Because now they're going to be like, oh, okay, this wasn't really a solicitation. This is actually super helpful for me, and you just may not know it yet.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I wanted to ask about, I appreciated rather your remarks about how you tweak your script. I have been of the mind that you should not be tweaking the script because they're written that way for a reason. So when you say tweak it, how would you tweak it? Obviously you want to personalize it, but how do you tweak it so that you don't destroy the continuity and the reason why you're using that particular script?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about that in some of the slides that come up about how to basically take it and make it your own. Okay, but that's a great question though too. That's a great question. We'll cover that in a little bit.
And then Darren, one other quick point I think we should touch on really quick before we move on is social media and making that a great place to maybe get the lead warm before then you actually go and have the conversation. Like start with a text or a Facebook message or send a little LinkedIn conversation. So do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's great to make the announcement to let people know that number one, you're in real estate, and number two, that you're part of the Keller Williams family, right? And then from there, they're going to start to see the value that you bring. So on social media, it's fantastic because what you can do is you can actually do a Facebook Live video from an open house. Let's say that you ask somebody in your office, can I do an open house from your office? Perfect. Or from your home, okay, that you have a listing that you have. Great. Do Facebook Live. Send them, you know, a couple days beforehand, the flyer that you put together of the open house. All right, send out statistics on the town that you either want to be a part of or the town that you live in. All right, send out material on any articles that you see. Show them that you just had a closing with your clients and you picture it, smiling with them sitting at the closing table, anything like that. What's going to happen is you're reinforcing the fact that you are in real estate and you're a real estate specialist. Remember we talked yesterday, you got to hit these people about 7 to 10 times before that message solidifies, even the people that you know. All right. Where if you constantly put that message out there, all right, you are the real estate specialist, the resource. They're going to see like, wow, you know, Bethany's out there and she's, you know, killing it. I see her, she's posting an article on how to, you know, get ice dams off your roof. And then I see her out there at a closing and then she is, a Facebook Live. Then I'm getting, a message from her talking about how it's a seller's market and this, they're making that connection. All right. And are we reaching out to them directly? Yeah, once in a while. Because we want to touch base with them. We want to be natural and say like, oh, listen, by the way, I don't know if you're looking to do anything or what your real estate future is, but, let me know. And, oh, by the way, do you know of anybody who's looking to do anything? Just, pass my name along if you can. That'd be great. Right?
If I can just add one quick thing, Darren, I think social media is super important, and I think it's great to have a plan, right? Because we don't want to be the person that just starts throwing up real estate, and every day, I'm Marissa, I sell houses. Do you want to buy a house? I'm Marissa, I work with buyers. Are you looking to buy a house? Right? So I always say, get a social media plan. Like what day of the week will you post something related to real estate news? What day will you post something that's more light and fun real estate, right? And then which days are you promoting that you're the local expert? So I used to do videos in my community. I used to go around to my restaurants. 1 month was restaurants. 1 month was shops. I would talk to local business owners and we'd put the lives right on our Facebook, right? So number one, I was showing that I care about my community because I do. Number two, I was getting business that way. And number three, it was actually very consistent because I had my schedule going, right? I'd have mid-month where I would post data on the towns that I'd like to do business in just to give people a snapshot of what was happening to trigger in their mind, oh, Marissa just posted these reports. Houses are moving. Maybe I should see what my house is worth kind of thing, right? So keep it fresh, keep it fun, but keep it consistent. And then different things will just resonate with different people.
Right. Yeah, you're going to be offering value. Okay. Everything that Marissa touched on is that you're offering value. And that's what you want to do. All right. You're not just asking for something because nobody wants to be asked for something. You're offering value. And then people are going to respond to that. They'll reach out to you. Right. It's one thing. If you're reaching out to them and you're trying to get them, basically you're a salesperson. But if you reach out to them and you're natural about it, and then you sit back and you just stay in front of them, they'll come to you. Okay, they'll come to you. And then you become a resource as opposed to the salesperson, right? So getting back here in terms of what we're talking about, the big picture. So all of these basically situations that we have where people don't know what to say, or it's awkward, or wondering what is, what to say, what to do, how to take that next step, right? Seems to me that script practice is the obvious solution to all of this. If we know what we're going to say and we practice it and we get really good at it, we develop that knowledge, the knowledge becomes the confidence, and we can go into any situation, whether we happen to be at a barbecue and a friend comes up and asks us, or we're talking to a stranger in line at Walmart, whatever it is, right? We know what we're going to say. We have that down. And that's what's going to help us to overcome those fears, right?
Perfect. Good question.
Yep.
So you're saying that I missed part of what you said at first because I couldn't get in, but are you saying that we're following the scripts for people that we know and for people that we don't know, and then we're tweaking scripts like as necessary? Because somebody might have already said this, but if I was to talk to somebody that I know and I use a script, they're going to be like, what are you doing? Like they're going to know. I would never talk like that.
Exactly.
But if I'm talking to someone, maybe that I haven't talked to in 6 or 7 years from Facebook, and I talk to them, and I use a script, but I changed it a little bit, because if I'm calling just to say I'm checking in with you and I'm calling on a care call, are you saying each time we should be mentioning real estate at some point, like putting it into the conversation? Or is there a time where you're just calling to check on someone and you don't say anything, then you wait till the next conversation, and then that's when you really get into it?
You know, read the situation. Read the situation. Obviously, if you talk to somebody and you call up a friend of yours and say, like, hey, I'm just checking in, see how you're doing. And they say, well, unfortunately, my dog just passed away. That's not the time to sit there and say, like, oh, well, what's your real estate future look like? It's just not going to happen, right? Not working. Just say, like, hey, I'm really sorry about that. What can I do to help? Is there anything I can do to help? How can I help out here, right? It's, from the point of just reading the situation. People are having a great day and they're like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but houses are flying off right here, and I'm having a busy schedule because all I'm doing is working with folks who are just selling their houses sell within 2 days. It's amazing, right? And they're going to be like, wow, okay, tell me more. Something like that, if that comes up in conversation. It's one of these things that you're going to have to draw on a lot of different scripts that you use and just see if there's something that might work, but it's got to sound natural, and that's where the practice comes in. All right. Yes, you can read the script word for word and you're going to sound like Tommy Telemarketer, right? Or you can actually internalize it and you can say, like, okay, I've got different snippets and facets and things like that I can piece together to have a conversation based on what that person is telling me. Okay.
Right. And that's what I guess I'm asking, because I've heard, like, don't deviate from the script, but then you kind of have to deviate from the script. So really you just have to read each situation, and every situation and every phone call, you have to kind of customize it to what's happening.
Exactly. And we'll go over how to do that. We're basically going to take a look at those scripts. We're going to break them down so that you can actually use them and not miss the message that they're trying to send. Okay. Right. Make them your own without losing touch with what it is that you're trying to accomplish with it. Okay. And we'll go over that too as well.
Thank you.
I like your real estate assistant there. Cute.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Great. All right. Perfect. So, all right, let's go to the next slide then. All right. Okay.
Erin,
Yes.
it's Erin.
Hey.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to touch on this because I do feel like we're getting a little bit confused around scripts. And so in terms of when you're learning them and practicing them, you really want to learn them word for word. And I know it's going to sound silly, but ultimately when you are in that relationship conversation with someone that you know really well, you're going to be surprised when that language from the script actually comes out so natural. And you're going to be like, oh, okay, so now they can see me as the professional realtor that I am. And that's one of the things I just want to caution everyone. If you're keeping it really casual with your friends and you're not letting them see you as the professional realtor, they're not going to be able to shout your value to the world and be a great referral source for you. So really learn these scripts because they are the professional language of our business. So that's my 2 cents, and I'll shut up now.
No, thank you. That's good. That's a great point. Good point. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we take a look at the screen here, we take a look at some of the questions and the statements that are here. What does this remind you of? Has anybody run into anything like this before? Take a minute to read these and see what they're all about. What do you think of when you see these, when you read these?
Salesman.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Has anybody ever watched? What's that?
Looks like something you'd see at Best Buy as you're browsing.
Exactly. Yep.
I feel like it's something you would maybe hear at an open house.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure, absolutely. So, the second one, right? You can actually use that for taking a look at a house and let me know if you need anything. Absolutely, right? How many times have you walked into a store and somebody says, "Can I help you?" And then what do we say?
No.
Oh, just browsing.
Just browsing, just looking, all of that, right? Okay. So we run into the same things, right? If we go and we're asking questions and we're talking to folks, sometimes we get canned responses. And if we don't know our scripts and we don't know to basically accentuate the value that we can bring or handling the objections, we freeze and we don't know what to say. And a lot of times we don't know how to take it to that next step and to actually get us to where we want to go, right? So when we take a look at these, all right, there are things that customarily come out. But if we're able to actually very intelligently talk to folks, okay? Know what we're going to say. Incorporate that into our natural verbiage and our discussion, okay? It doesn't have to sound salesy, right? I mean, if you look at it, we are licensed professionals, all right? If you call us salespeople, all right, it's got a connotation that not necessarily is the best, all right? It's not as though that we're all sitting here in our market center. We've got a lot sitting outside of Colonials and Capes that we need to unload for a Labor Day sale, right? We don't have that. But what we are is we're consultants, we're specialists, real estate specialists. We have people who have a problem. I need to buy a house. I don't know what to do. I can help you with that, right? I need to sell my house. I don't know what to do. I can help you with that. So we are licensed professionals, and this is part of what we do, okay? And we want to, when we talk, we want to basically show them that we have value, and there's value to be had from everything that we know. This makes sense?
So I love what came in the chat, Darren. Closed-ended questions make you sound like a salesperson, not someone who can provide solutions.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep, definitely. Good. Okay. All right, so we go to the next slide. What we're going to focus on now is we want to basically talk about removing our limiting beliefs, right? So what are limiting beliefs? What are some limiting beliefs that are out there?
You can't talk to every stranger.
Mm-hmm. I can't do this. Yep, I see that come across the chat. Absolutely.
To look confident enough to answer any question the client can ask that you are not prepared for this kind of question. Like you don't want to look like hesitated or don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Or market is saturated. I don't know enough to help you. I don't have enough experience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or my favorite is I have to learn everything before I can help someone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a good one. I don't want to bother people.
Yep. Okay. Right.
No one is interested in buying or selling.
Yeah, you get that a lot. I don't want to make the calls because nobody's interested in buying or selling. Absolutely, right? It comes down to, basically having confidence in ourselves and knowing our ability and being able to handle any situation. And yes, you're going to come across times where they ask a question and you don't know the answer. But it's perfectly fine to sit there and say, like, something, that is a great question. All right. Let me find the answer for you and I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. How does that sound? Okay. People can respect that. All right. Gary Keller has said too in the past that when you're a new agent, all right, be honest with the folks that you're talking to. Say like, listen, there are a lot of things that I know because I'm a licensed professional, but there are things that I don't know. And if I don't know those, I will let you know, but then I will get the answer and come back and let you know as well. All right. So there are times where you're not going to have the answer, but that's fine. But have confidence in the fact that you know a lot. You are a licensed professional. And all you need to do is learn the scripts that are going to help you to enhance that value and show everybody the value that you bring to the table. Okay? So what we're going to do for those folks that actually have their books here, okay? Their books. We're going to turn to page 4, okay? About removing your limiting beliefs. Okay, this is actually a 2-part basically exhibit that we're going to do here. So for the first one, all right, and for those of you that don't have the manual, grab a pen and a piece of paper, okay? Because what we're going to do for the first part, we're going to write down anywhere from 1 to 3 limiting beliefs, okay, that hold us back from actually making phone calls, okay? And then next to them, for each limiting belief that we put in there, okay, we're going to record a way that we already have to, for a plan that we already have, or a way that we're going to remove that limiting belief. Okay, so we're going to take a couple of minutes to do this, where we'll actually go and we'll write our limiting beliefs, and then we're going to write a solution to how we're going to overcome those limiting beliefs. All right, and if you don't have this exhibit in the book, or you don't have the book, just write it on a piece of paper. Okay, we'll take a couple of minutes to do that. Make sure that you're honest with yourself too. All right, if you're going to put down a limiting belief, make sure that you're honest about what it is, and be honest about how you're going to overcome that as well.
Darren, while they're doing that, I'm just going to chime in really quickly. This is Jen Bovey. First, I'm very sorry for the link challenge this morning. That was 100% on me. I'm very sorry. I started a new link and it's too late to change back. So I just want to let you guys know that tomorrow we will be going back to the original link. I will be sending an email with a reminder and posting the link in our Facebook page. So I am very sorry for the challenge this morning. If you do know anybody that's having a hard time getting in, please send them this link, or I could send that to them if you want to give me their contact information. And I'm very sorry. Enjoy the rest of your Ignite.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. All right, so everybody have at least one limiting belief that's out there, right? Anybody want to share their limiting belief and also how they're going to overcome it?
I do.
Sure.
But I'm not sure how to overcome it. One of the limiting beliefs is that I do not know enough about a house. Then they probably have close friends in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one, my English is not good enough to say what I want in a correct way.
Okay. Well, I think you did a fantastic job there, so I wouldn't be worried about that. I think you did a very good job there. I think for the first one, not knowing enough about a house, all right, a couple different things that you can do about that. What I would do is I would actually reach out to maybe some senior folks that are in the market center and say, listen, next time you have an inspection, can I go along with you? All right, just to see how an inspector works, all right, get some information from that, all right. There's videos out there about certain things having to do with the house. Really, it's a good thing to understand as much as you can on the MLS information and any supporting documents, so you have a history of what's going on with the house as well. And that's the important thing. You can only share what you know that's been written down either in the MLS description or any supporting documents, okay? If they start getting into a lot of structural questions and things like that, all right, we have to stay in our lane. We have to basically know our expertise right there, okay? The second one you had that knowing friends who are in the business, it's like, yes, there's a lot of real estate agents that are out there, all right? But it's a matter of also showing the value that you bring and expressing that, all right? If the other agents are not really doing a very good job or don't have a growing business or, really aren't active, all right, but yet you're out there and you're showing people the things that you're doing and you're talking to them about the value that you bring, okay, then that's going to basically elevate you over them in terms of what you can do for them. And that's where your value proposition comes in as well.
Okay, you're getting a lot of love in the chat. People are saying that they would listen to whatever you have to say. So I think sometimes we also are just harder on ourselves than others as well, because you're getting a lot of positive feedback.
Good. Okay, great. No, thank you. I mean, listen, we're licensed professionals and we know more than 90% of the people that are out there. We have to remember that. Okay. All right. Whether we're brand new or you've been in the business for 12 years. Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. We are licensed professionals. We can help them solve their problem. And that's the biggest thing right there. Okay. Anybody else want to share?
I have something.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Joyce, and mine's fear of failure and rejection. But what I did, I'm going to start reading books that encourages me, like one with Louise Hayes, You Can Heal Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
Just read different things that encourage me. And the second one is not knowing what to say, but I'm going to continue to do my script practice. And, just talk with other agents and see where they are. Because, I called the for sale by owner, expired, but when he picked up the phone, I hung up. So I really have to build up my confidence in my let go of limited beliefs.
Sure, you'll do that with the script practice. That's good. That's good.
My low confidence, I had to build up my confidence, but I'm getting through the Louise Hayes book. You can heal yourself. I say affirmations every day.
Good for you.
That's helped me a lot.
Excellent.
Darren, I got one.
Actually, I got two.
Okay.
The first one is I've been involved in trades and in construction most of my life, basically all of my adult life. Okay, so everybody knows me as Al, the construction guy, union iron worker, blah blah blah.
Right.
Then I make the transition into real estate. Are people going to take me serious? And I honestly don't know what to put an answer to that. I don't know what to put. The second part has to write an answer to overcome that. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know. The second one is how I'm perceived by people. I'm of the darker persuasion, if you will.
Yeah.
And how I'm perceived by people when I walk up to their door, because I talk to them on the phone, have a very nice conversation with them,
right.
Set an appointment, go to the appointment. When they open the door, they look at me, they're like, hey, 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 come on in. So that tells me a lot right there. And I try to look at myself through other people's eyes, what they see.
Right.
And that, for me, is a limiting belief because I don't know what they see. And so I can't judge, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that kind of holds me back a little bit because I don't know how they're looking at me.
Right. Right.
If that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know something too, talk about that second one first. I mean, you can only control what you can control on your end. If there are other people out there and they have limiting beliefs, there's not much that you can do. But what you're doing is you're basically overcoming it by showing the value that you can bring. Okay. And you're going to show them, all right, listen, you know, this is what I can do for you. This is how I can help you out. This is the value that I can bring. Okay. If they still don't understand it, then that's, you know, something to move on. We don't have to be desperate for business. Okay. We don't have to sit there and try to just get everyone anyway. You work with the people that you want to work with. All right. And just
Now,
remember
I think people will take you as seriously as you take yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you're prepared. You know what to say. You know your market. Like, you understand real estate. You're practicing your scripts. You're acting like a professional. So if you see yourself as that professional, you will exude that to others, right? So I think people will take you as seriously as you're taking it. And it seems like you're all in and you're really dedicated to doing this. You practice your scripts, you get your role play partner, you learn about your market, you show others the value you offer, and I think that that perception will totally be there, right? So you believe it, you act it, it'll be there.
And just going back to your first limiting belief that you have there, Al, I mean, think about this. You've got a growth mindset, all right? You're adding to your skill set, all right? If you're just, you know, the person who handles construction the whole time, okay, that's all they know you as. But you know something? You're broadening your skill set. You're now incorporating another facet of real estate into your business. Now think about this too, okay? Going into a home, you're going to be able to point out a lot of things that people who don't have that experience won't be able to do. And that trust factor and that rapport that you have with your clients is just going to be strengthened that much more because of that, all right? So now you have two different industries that you're bringing together. I mean, almost the same thing. And you're adding that much more value because of the two skill sets that you have. You have construction and you have the real estate experience, license experience there.
I didn't think of that way. That's awesome. All right, thanks guys. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Morning, everyone. I'm Eve from Boston. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
Thank you. This is awesome. Mine, I wouldn't call a limiting belief. It's more like a challenge that I'm going to face because I'm switching now from banking all the way to real estate. And I'm staying in the same community, which I've been very active. Kind of knows some people there. The question that I have, or I know I probably can find the answer because I am sending an amazing team in the South Shore here in Boston, and I already feel connected to them and confident that I can ask questions. But since I'm new, my question is, if someone asked about my previous job role, is informational finance, it's like the conversation is gonna come through. How can I direct them? Like, I don't want to advise you. I just want to get like that language. If you can also, I don't know if I should email someone and get all figured out in that aspect.
Yeah, I'm not really, I couldn't make some of that out. It was a little scratchy there. I'm not sure. So are you asking that if people ask you what you did prior to real estate, how do you incorporate that, or what? I'm sorry, I missed the question.
No, it's more like about how the conversation will come across, like, can you tell me which bank should I choose, or do you know any better? You know, it's more like the financial part.
Yep. Okay.
Questions, and I just wanted to know how to go around because I don't want to make suggestion or wrong, but in the meantime, I want to keep that warm conversation with clientele members of the community that have that relationship?
Well, here's the thing. If you're brand new, you don't have relationships with any of those vendors, let's say, or lenders that are out there. Okay. So what I would do is reach out to some of the veteran people in your market center and say, who do you use in this area? Okay. You're South Shore, Boston. Who are the lenders that you trust and use? Okay. Because they're only going to recommend people that they have used and that are going to be good for your clients. All right. When your clients start essentially digging into the details about the lending, say like, listen, you have something, these are questions that are best left for the lender here. Okay. And I don't want to steer you down a path. All right. Stay in your lanes. Go with what you know. Because if you start to dive into financial matters, legal matters, okay, now you're walking a slippery slope, and it's things that essentially really you're not prepared for. You're not, you don't have the license for. So I would say refer them back to their lender once they select a lender and have them have that discussion. And the best thing that you can do too is either go to the meeting with them or get on the phone with them if you have like a Zoom meeting or something, and be there so that you can actually hear the answers to those questions. And you can also be there as their support while they're talking to the lender.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. What else? Anybody have anything else?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my biggest limiting beliefs is because I am so new and telling people that, I'm just coming into this, starting a career change. My fear is that someone would rather choose a more experienced agent. And then thinking about it, I kind of realized that to overcome that, I would say that I work for Keller Williams and I have a multitude of resources behind me. And I have the more experienced agents that will be willing to help me and that sort of thing. So I guess I'm kind of answering my own limiting belief, but that is one of the big things that I feel is holding me back at this point.
Well, Jen, let me ask you something too. Why does experience have to come into play? Why does that question even have to come up? If you go there and you talk to them, I mean, yes, if they're people that you know, just tell them, say like, listen, I'm looking to grow my business and I'd love to have you as the folks that help me to get my business started. Okay. Mm-hmm. And yes, you're a licensed professional, so you know a lot more than people that are out there. So give yourself credit when it comes to that, all right? You've already touched on the fact that you've got resources from Keller Williams behind you, which is great. So you've got a team behind you. So if for some reason there's a question that can't be answered, you can get that answer right away, all right? But there's value that you bring to the table, all right? And there are things that you can do for them. And just basically solidify that and send that to them so that if you're talking to somebody that you don't know, they're not going to know and they're not going to care whether you have, a month of experience or 10 years of experience. All right. But if it's somebody that you do know and they understand you're new into the business, say like, listen, I've got the team of professionals behind me and I want to do business with you and I want you to help me to grow my business. Do you think you're comfortable with that?
Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
I also have a question, and I guess it's a limiting belief. So I'm not only, I've been with I'm transitioning to Keller Williams right now. And, but I'm only 2 years into being a real estate agent. So I'm also new to the area where I live. So working in the office that I've worked in, which is an office that has been in this, in the top town where I live in, for over 30 years, every person in that office has never left this area. So I feel like they know every single person. They can come up with 6 transactions in a month, in a downtime because they know so many people and I don't. So it feels really like overwhelming that you go to speak to people, and I've had it happen to me where they're like, oh, I know so-and-so from your office, or I know so-and-so, I already know the people in your office. So also being a military family, I did go, and to rectify that, I'm certainly I am a people person. It's been what I've done my whole life. So talking to people isn't a problem, but having that come back to me. And then when the first day that we did Ignite and they talked about the contacts in your list, in your phone, I have 400 contacts in my phone, but of 400 or whatever, there's 380 or whatever that are not in this state because I haven't been here that long. So I did get my military relocation certification because it is a market that I'm really passionate about, being a military wife for over 20 years. And it was something that I did. So I feel like that's one way to to get over that limiting belief, but at the same time, it's still very hard. And now coming into Keller Williams, where I'm like, I hear things like there's 6,000 agents, and I'm thinking, how am I supposed to fit into this? Because now there's that many more agents that are from here, and I'm still not from here.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing too, is that, you know, you actually have value to bring. You have a different value to bring than every other agent. Every agent has their own value, okay? So for you, you may want to focus and you may want to have a niche on essentially maybe people who are on the military base that you're in too, okay? I've seen that happen before. Because you have the same experience as several of the spouses that are there, okay, you may be able to create that as your niche in that particular community. All right, find something that is important to you, that matters to you, and you can develop that niche within it. Yes, there are, you know, group of agents that are in Keller Williams, but nobody has a lock on anything, any town, anywhere, okay? Nobody has that in there. And there's plenty of business to go around, okay? There are people that say, like here in Connecticut where we are, it's like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to become a real estate agent because, you know, there's so many agents that are out there. That's fantastic. That's great. There's about maybe 6,000 to 7,000 agents in the state of Connecticut, but last year there were over 100,000 real estate transactions, I think it was. So, you know, do the math. There's plenty of stuff to go around for everybody, all right? But when you find that niche and that specialty, you're going to see that the referrals start to build up from there, okay? You're going to find what works for you, and things are going to naturally just grow because, you know, the person that you help is going to tell the next person, and pretty soon you're right up there with all the other agents in your office because they have their areas they're working, their specialties, and you have yours. You just need to find that and work that as hard as you can, okay? Plus, there's always expires and for sale by owners. You come into a new community, that's a great way to reach out to people. Become a specialist in those areas, right? Okay, it doesn't mean that agents that are there have a lot of everything, okay? There's still plenty of business to go around.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
I'd like to share two of mine and not fully sure how to overcome these. The first one is, of course, how to go door knocking without sounding like a salesperson. And then number two, I was never on social media, Facebook and all of that. So how do I now? I do have Facebook page. I've created a business page as well. But how do I now starting to post more often and not just sounding like, okay, I'm just posting real estate info, just selling.
Right, right. Well, number one, for the first limiting belief, you know, for door knocking and not sounding and having the right answers and being able to sound like a real estate professional, the script practice, right? There's door knocking scripts that are out there, okay? And I even think there's some in the Spark script book.
It is.
So,
Yeah, I've been practicing it, yes.
Absolutely. Practice, 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 all right? Internalize it, make it your own. And that's that.
Okay.
You'll just have that conversation flow naturally when you do that,
Okay.
And role play with other people, okay? Role play with people in your family. Role play with people in your market center, okay? Role play with yourself in the mirror. Smile when you role play, and that's going to come across. It comes across through the phone. It's going to come across in person as well, all right? Now for the second one, what was that again? The limiting belief? It was
social media.
Social media, yep. So I didn't have a Facebook business page until I came to Keller Williams a year and a half ago. All right, I thought I was the last person on earth, but you know, I that's what it seemed like to me. But you'd be surprised that once you get on there and you start posting things on the personal side, right? I mean, there are things you want to be proud of, you know, kids' birthdays, anniversaries, things like that. But on the business side, if you go into command, you go into designs, there are hundreds of templates that are out there that cover so many different things. So you can put together a 1-minute video on local statistics in your town. It's very easy to do. Okay, so talk to your tech trainer about that if you haven't gone into designs yet. You can post an Instagram snapshot of, you know, like new listings, pendings, and closings in your town. It just takes about 3 minutes, update the numbers, boom, post that. All right. Put together a Facebook Live video when you're at an open house. I know I've said that before, all right? First video I did, it was a joke. Honestly, it was a joke. But people commented on it. They loved it. People want to see that. They don't care. They're not looking for perfection. You know, it's just getting out there and doing things, trying different stuff, and you'll find what works for you. If there are certain things that you do that suddenly start getting hits, well, maybe do more of that. But just try different things. Take a look at designs. There's so many things that are in there that can help you out with that.
Thanks, Dan.
Sure.
I have one to ask too.
Okay.
Being new in this field, like I know that my friend circle, they will definitely hire me. They do trust me, but being new in this area, will I be able to deliver the kind of service the level of that service that they deserve for what I'm charging for that service.
Absolutely. And you know something, this is up to you. This is up to you. You have to lay out what you're going to do, and you can follow the listing presentation in Designs and Command. That'll show you a lot of what we offer behind the scenes, but put together what your own personal value proposition is. What is it that you're going to offer them, right? Okay. And it's going to be you. It's going to be based on what you do. It's not going to be anybody else's. It's going to be yours. And that's what's going to set you apart. And your friends that you help with, they're going to recommend other people that they know and coworkers and things like that. All right. But you've got to decide what you want to do, and that's what you're going to offer. And it's all dependent upon how you're able to develop your value proposition. Okay. And that's what you're offering when it comes to that. And you set yourself apart from everyone else by doing that. Again, going back to if you were in a room with 4 or 5 other agents and somebody wanted to pick you to list their house or to help them buy a house, what sets you apart? What is it that you're going to do for them, right? It's not typical of where it's like, yeah, I'm a good agent. I work really hard. Yay. You know? Okay. So
I was
everybody
just
else.
afraid of if some situation comes where being new, I will not be able to handle that. So that's my limitation that I feel, okay, what if I won't be able to handle some situation being new in this field?
Well, there's 2 things there. Again, it comes back to the scripts, learning the scripts and understanding like objection handling and situations that come up like that. The second thing is too, is that, you know something, start basically going out on maybe appointments with senior folks that are in your market center. Ask them if you can tag along on a listing appointment or an inspection or anything that you think that you need work on. All right. I'm sure they'd be glad to help you out. I mean, that's the culture and the philosophy of Keller Williams, right? Helping each other out, being collaborative. So ask people if you can actually shadow them on an appointment just to see what questions come up. Okay?
I tried with 2, 3, but maybe I need to try 4 more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, you know, it's a limiting belief. I tried 2 or 3 and nothing happened. Well, how many agents do you have in your market center?
80, 85.
All right. So that tells me that there's about 82 or 83 others that are out there that might be open to you shadowing them too.
Thank you. Sure. I'll do that.
Good. All right, so let's get back to the activity here. So if we go back to page 4 on that page right there, there's a second part. There's a part 2 that's on here that we want to complete with a partner, okay? This is going to be homework that we're going to give everybody for this part, all right? We're not necessarily going to complete this now, but what I want everybody to do is I want everybody to select at least one accountability partner, okay? It can either be somebody in this group, it could be somebody in your market center, something like that, all right? This accountability partner is also going to be your role play, your script partner, okay? So 2 things that are going to happen. All right. First of all, you're going to fill out the second part, part 2 of this, okay, where you're going to pick a limiting belief. Okay. You're going to write it down there, and then you're going to work on additional steps you can take to overcome that. All right. What's the number 1 limiting belief you have? And go back and forth. You do it, your partner does it. If you've got 2 or 3 people that are in there, have them do it as well. Okay. Now, this accountability partner is somebody that you're going to stay in touch with on a regular basis, because you're also going to be doing the role playing and the script practicing with them. All right. And you're also going to check in with this person every single day. All right. And you determine how you do that, either in the beginning or the end of your lead gen, to show them this is what I'm going to do. And then also to tell them this is what I've done. All right. I said I was going to call 20 people. I called 20 people. I said I was going to get 1 appointment. I got 1 appointment. All right. Somebody to hold you accountable, somebody to practice with and to hold you accountable. All right. So you're going to work over that 1 limiting belief, the biggest one that you have there. You're going to come up with solutions, brainstorm, right? And then you're going to stay in touch with that person. You're going to actually role play script practice with them, and you'll also check in with them on things that you were supposed to do. Okay. Does that make sense?
Darren.
Yes.
It is not easy to find an accountability partner because everyone is so busy that they just kind of don't have time and they don't really want to commit.
Okay. Okay. I think right now, if we, open up the chat, I'm sure there'd probably be, hopefully, like at least 10 people right off the bat that would love to role play with you, script practice, be an accountability partner. I'm sure. Right.
Someone just asked if you want to partner with them. So
there you go.
We're getting volunteers right now in the chat for people that are open to being an accountability partner. They're coming in.
Absolutely. Now, again, it doesn't have to be in the market center. Okay. I had a script partner from Nova Scotia that I worked with. We did this for about 6 months, and it's always good to refresh it too. Okay. We met over the phone, really easy. I have another one now in Pennsylvania. I've talked to somebody in Arizona. All right. And then of course you've got the usual suspects in your market center as well. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next page. Okay, let's see where we are on time here. Okay, so we're going to talk about the benefits of using scripts, right? I mean, this seems fairly obvious. We talked a lot about the benefits of using scripts, okay, and how that's going to help us out, all right? So if we go to the next page, all right, when we're talking about scripts, it all comes down to communication, right? Okay, and a lot of the limiting beliefs that we just had and we just talked about, we just broke down, okay, can be solved just from the mere fact of us understanding the scripts, all right? Right? Communication is a two-way street. It's about what we're saying, okay, but it's also about what somebody hears. So we're sitting there, we want to make sure that we're saying the right thing, okay, so that they hear what we're trying to say, and that we're actually listening to what they have to say so that we can direct the conversation where it needs to go. Okay, we want to make it as clear and concise as possible. All right. So by us learning the scripts, memorizing and internalizing them, okay, everything that we need to do, obviously it's going to increase our confidence in our job, right? Okay. It's going to keep us focused on the conversation. It's going to allow us to not just, think about what we're going to say next, but to actually listen to what the client is saying, because you never know where that conversation can go. Right? We're asking the open-ended questions, right? And allows for consistency, all right? Anything that we say and the actions that we take have to mirror each other, right? Because the minute they don't, you lose that confidence, you lose that trust, you lose that whole relationship. And if that client is going to recommend you to their neighbor or to their family friend, their coworker, right? You want to make sure that that process and that value that you add and that discussion and communication you have is consistent among everybody that's there. Okay. All right.
And I will tell you just something that worked for me when I was newer to scripts is I would take them, I would practice them, I'd internalize them, I'd work with my accountability partner. And then for me, kind of my ultimate test to make sure that I was confident and natural and, didn't sound like I was reading was once I felt that I had practiced and really knew it, I practiced it with my husband. Because I thought for me, who knows me better than my spouse? And if he can tell that I'm not being genuine or thinks that I'm not being myself, he knows me better than anyone else. So it was really a great test. And when I was able to comfortably do it with confidence with him, and he thought it still sounded like me and sounded natural, I knew that I figured out really how to master my scripts and how to make them so natural that there was no disconnect. So practice, work with your accountability partners, internalize, and then practice with someone that knows you really well personally, because they'll tell you if you don't sound like yourself. They'll let you know. And then you know what to work on.
Definitely. That's good. It's all good. All right, perfect. So we're going to actually watch a short video here. This is with Jeff Glover. I don't know if anybody knows Jeff Glover, but he is a phenomenal script master, okay? He actually has a website out there, Glover U, so like University Glover U.com. Check it out. Subscribe to his podcast. He is big in the Detroit, Michigan area. I actually got a chance to see him at Family Reunion just after I joined a year and a half ago. Sat in on a session where he stood up on a stage, and I don't know if there were like 3,000 people or whatever in there, but it was a large group. And he sat there up on stage and he handled objections. People were just throwing him out left and right. And he handled every single one like a true professional. He knew exactly what he was doing. So reach out, take a look at the resources and the podcast that he has. Watch the video here. He's going to cover some things on scripts and how to use them.
Add real quick. Darren, can I add real quick?
Yep.
He started when he was 19. So that was coming up in the chat, and I'll post a bunch of stuff. He's phenomenal. But if you're feeling like somebody had posted, I'm 19, how is anyone going to take me seriously? He has a huge business. He's also a great guy. I've met him personally. We hosted him here in New Hampshire last year, small group of about 100 people. And yeah, he's got a big business, and he started when he was 19, really leaning into scripts. So we'll post a bunch of stuff, but definitely worth following.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Jeff Glover, and I'm going to tell you the top 5 things that you need to know about using scripts. Step 1, you're going to need to get your scripts from a top agent of the office, your team leader, a math coach, or of course Keller Williams University. Step 2, we're going to need to do a total transformation of, instead of talking and telling, of asking questions. Selling isn't telling, selling is asking a series of questions that leads to desired response. So instead of talking so much, we need to get in the habit of asking questions. And asking questions gives us control of the
Get that a little louder, please.
conversation gives us
all the way
Step
up.
3, we need to listen with good intentions. Well, what I mean by that is we need to listen to their answers instead of just listening to them talk and asking another question that comes to mind. For example, instead of asking a seller where they're moving to and then going on to the next question, how soon would you like to be there? Ask them, where are you moving to? And when they give you a response, ask them, what takes you there? Step 4 in becoming better at scripts is we need to learn to mimic, mirror, and match the prospect. What I mean by that is we have to listen to their tone of voice. We have to speed up or slow down based on how fast the prospect is talking. That means when they respond and say, we're moving to Toledo. Oh, Toledo, that's exciting. What takes you there? 93% of communication is body language and tonality. And that means only 7% are the words that we say or the questions that we ask. Step 5, we need to take these 5 points and practice them daily. If you think of NFL teams, they practice 50, 60 hours on the practice field for a 1-hour game. Our game is our presentations and our appointments, and we need to practice daily everything that we've learned every single day before we meet with our clients. When it comes to scripts, my biggest aha is that everybody has their own scripts. We're pre-programmed to have scripts, and we're talking and asking questions that are scripted. However, what we found is that most of our own scripts are no good. And so we have to learn the right scripts, the right questions to maintain control of the conversation. Thanks for watching KW Connect. Make it a great day.
All right, so he talked about 5 different things that are in there in terms of using scripts, right? We're going to go through each one of these here. All right, it's essential. If you ever get a chance to watch his YouTube videos or check him out on there, definitely watch how he handles it. He's a master, as I said, and he really, handles every conversation and knows how to handle any objection that comes up. But number 1, the first thing he said is get scripts, right? We all have our Spark script book, right? We're going to be getting one when we start elementals. All right, so there's plenty of resources for scripts that are out there. And Glover U, there's actually some scripts that he uses for certain situations. But you can also go to KW Connect. And if you type in a script for a particular situation you're looking for, it'll lead you to the resources that we have. So you'll be able to expand upon the scripts that you have. And even just Googling a script for a particular situation, you're going to get a lot of different results, okay? But having the scripts allows us to build up our knowledge and build up our library, right? And allows us to handle multiple situations depending on the questions that's asked or depending on which direction that the conversation goes, right? Number 2, he said, don't talk, ask open-ended questions, right? The person who asks the questions controls the conversation, right? How many times have you talked to somebody and we just talked about it before, the yes/no questions, and they're very firm and they're very abrupt. Yes, no. You can't get anything out of them because you're asking the wrong questions, right? Now they are the ones that have the control. However, as you mentioned in there, saying like, okay, you're moving to Toledo, so what takes you to Toledo? Okay, things like that. Get them talking, all right? You're building up the rapport and the trust, and you're finding out more about what their motivation is. And motivation is one of the key things when we're talking to expireds and for sale by owners, right? And make sure, too, that you don't answer questions, okay? If you say like, oh, so what were you planning to do when you get the house sold? Were you downsizing? Were you going on a vacation? Were you going to Canada? What were you going to do? No, say, so what are we planning on doing when the house is sold? Let them answer it, okay? Let them answer it. Do less talking and just ask the open questions. And that leads to number 3, listen, right? Listening is key, all right? Guide the conversation based on the answer, but listen to what they're saying, okay? If they tell you something like, that they're looking to possibly sell in the spring because of a relocation, then you start going into asking for an appointment now based on something, it's just not going to flow. You need to dive in a little bit more and understand what it is and get some more information on that. Ask more questions if you have to, okay? Make sure that you're actually listening to what they're saying and not talking over them, right? Number 4, mimic, mirror, and match, right? If you're talking to somebody who's very low key, all right, you want to match that as well. Don't come in like the tailgater at Foxborough, okay, with like, beer in one hand and sausage in the other saying like, yeah, this is great, we're going to do this. And meanwhile, they haven't had their first cup of coffee yet, all right? It's a difference between matching somebody who's a Tigger, versus Eeyore. If somebody's a Tigger, make sure you maintain that high energy, right? Somebody's an Eeyore, don't have that bounce in your step there. Just dial it down and mirror and match what they're doing, all right? And number 5, he mentioned this. We talk about this. Practice daily. Practice, 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 right? Just like with sports, okay? If you practice and you make those practices as tough as possible, all right, the games are going to be easier, right? Games are going to be easier. In our market center, we actually have 2 times during the day that we actually script practice, okay? We do an 8:15 session where myself and some senior members actually script and role play, and we beat each other up. We make it as tough as possible, and every agent in our office can listen in and just hear how those conversations go. Because as far as we're concerned, the tougher we make those role-playing sessions, okay, easier it is to handle somebody on a phone. It really is. And then after that, we have a 9:15 session, so all of the newer folks who listen to that can actually role-play that and can actually go through that process as well. So they can take what they've learned and incorporate it into their skill set, okay? But it has to be a reoccurring thing. It has to be a reoccurring thing. You have to do that on a regular basis.
And I actually jumped in and covered a call for Darren because he had an appointment. And I will tell you, some of the senior agents, 2 of them were role playing. And at the end, one of them said, you know what, I feel like I was off. And for me, coming in and hearing him the first time, he sounded spot on, right? So although he felt off, and although a few of the guys who hear him every day said, you were great, I did pick up on a few things you do differently. Because I had never heard him and I was a stranger coming in, he sounded great. Right, so the more practice you have, you will become so fluent that you may notice if you're off like half a centimeter, but no one else will. So practice is literally the key to this.
Perfect. So now we're going to move on. We're going to talk about, yes, memorizing scripts, but more importantly, we're going to be internalizing scripts, okay? So if you take a look at the next page here, all right? When we talk about understanding scripts, okay, internalizing them, all right, we want to make sure that we go through and we read, and we understand, we know exactly what the points are that that script is trying to tell us, all right? And it's going to take time because the more that we read that, okay, the more that we're going to internalize it, and then it becomes natural. It naturally becomes natural, all right? All right. Now, scripts are one of the most important tools that we have in our toolbox, and this is the thing that we want to make sure that we become specialists in. So the way to do that is to continually practice, memorize, internalize, make it your own, all right? How many of us have...
Really quick question.
Yeah.
If anybody knows, because I tried yesterday, it might just be I'm not good with computers. I'm learning, but is there a way to print any of these? I couldn't print them. Any of the scripts?
The scripts, you talking about the Sparks script book?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's available on the Facebook page under the unit section. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah. It just wouldn't let me. It wouldn't let me print it like that. It wasn't. There wasn't even an option, so I didn't know if there was. If I was missing.
So you would probably. You might have to download it, depending on. You can go through files and you could download them and print them that way. If you can't get it, like I can post it in here right now. I'll post the script book and then you can download it from the chat to your computer and you should be able to print it that way. These are all available on KWU as well. So yeah. So
okay, great. Thank you.
If you're still having a problem, email me and I'll email it to you as a PDF.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so internalizing scripts and understanding them, right? I mean, it's just natural. It's a natural course of business and something that's going to make us better. And think about this. How many other people actually learn scripts, internalize them, all right? How about a singer? Have you ever gone to a concert, the singer's forgotten the words? Or if they were lip syncing, the record skipped and they didn't know what to do, all right? No, they're professionals. They train for every moment, okay? I don't care if it's Bruce Springsteen or Beyonce. You know, everybody knows what they're going to say when they come out there on that stage, right? Unless they let the crowd sing it for them, they know what they're doing, right? Same thing with an actor, right? The actor just doesn't show up on the set the first day of filming and say like, okay, I got this. I don't need a script. Let's just wing it, you know? It doesn't work that way. There's acting coaches. They get the scripts ahead of time. They read them. They do read-throughs with other actors. The scene takes multiple times. There's so many things that go into it. And how about athletes, right? Cam Newton just shows up in Foxborough a couple of months ago. Do you think he walked up there and was like, yep, I got this. I'm going to go to the beach and just let me know when the first game is, right? No, it doesn't happen. He actually sit down. He has to learn the scripts, the playbook, right? He's got to go out there and practice. Can't wing it there, right? So everybody in those professions, they do the same thing that we do, right? The scripts are basically internalized. They become natural, and it just flows just like every other conversation would, all right? And if we don't bother to learn our scripts, okay, we're not going to get any business. We're not going to know how to talk. We're going to get stuck. The minute that, you know, for sale by owner gives us an objection, we're going to hang up. instead of trying to overcome that and break through that barrier, right? Or if, we're talking to our friends, but we don't want to say that we're a real estate agent because we don't know what to say and we don't know what to do and we remain a secret agent, okay? We're not going to get any business. No appointments, no contracts, no closings, right? All right, so the biggest thing for us is to actually internalize, know these scripts, all right? Make it sound natural, make it sound friendly. The more you do this, okay, you'll see that over time, all of a sudden, it just starts to click and everything comes into play. And you're gonna have that role play session where you just kill it and everything is great. And you're like, yep, I got this, give me the phone, let's go, okay?
And I guarantee if you're looking at someone else in your market center or another mega agent and you're saying, well, how come I use scripts and they don't? I guarantee you they do. They have just become so natural and internalized that you just don't realize they're using them, which is the point to which we should all strive to get to, right? That we're using them and a new agent looks at you and says, well, how come I have to use scripts and Darren doesn't? Darren does. He's just so fluent, you don't realize he's using it, right? So that should be a goal for everyone.
Definitely. So now let's get to the kind of crux of the whole conversation here about actually going in and reading scripts and understanding them and really internalizing them here. So if we go to the next page, all right, we've got a step-by-step process, and this is actually on page 6 of your manual here, okay? All right. Actually, I'm sorry, it's page 7. All right, page 7 here. So just so everybody sees it, all right? Gives you basically a six-step process, all right, to going in, memorizing, understanding, internalizing, okay? Internalizing and understanding, all right? I look at this a little bit differently here, all right? What I usually tell the folks at my program is I want you to actually, first of all, okay, turn this into a 5-step process. So what I tell them is I want you to read the script out loud 5 times with a smile on your face, all right? So everybody can see that. So you can project that positivity, all right? So that you know what it sounds like too, out loud, right? Then I want you to read it internally 10 times. I still want you to smile, all right? The more you smile, the more that's going to come across, whether you're texting, calling, or seeing them in person, okay? All right? Now, number 3, I want you to write down the major points, all right? Write down the major points of that script, all right? Put it in bullet points in the margins, write it on a separate piece of paper, all right? What are the biggest things, the takeaways from that, all right? Every script has takeaways in there. You have to basically find out what they are, okay? Pull them out and say, all right, how can I say that so that it sounds like me, right? Make it your own. So read them out loud to understand what they are, okay? Read them to yourself. Do it while you're smiling. Write down the major points, right? Don't just highlight, physically write them down in the margins on a separate piece of paper. Write it again if you have to. Write it 3 or 4 times. Make it your own, all right? If you come across and it still sounds like you are the Tommy telemarketer, okay, where you're saying like, hi, I'd like to ask if you would sign up for our program, then you need more practice, right? And that's where the last step comes in. You want to practice with someone else, okay? Have a group, 2, 3, 17 people, whatever you want to do, but practice in front of all of those people, all right? Practice one person, family member, coworker, anything like that, all right? So that you get in the habit of being able to say that, have it sound naturally, and like Marissa was saying, the people around you will know that it sounds natural. So when you do get the tap on the shoulder when you're at the barbecue and somebody says, hey, I heard you were in real estate, you've got that value proposition right at the tip of your tongue. Talk about what you can do, right? You overhear a conversation, somebody in front of you in line at the grocery store and it's talking about real estate. You can say, excuse me, I overheard you talking that you might want to sell your house. And then you immediately go right into what you want to say. Right? You call it that expired, and they say, yeah, we're going to wait because the house didn't sell, or I might sell it on my own. Do you say, okay, thanks, and hang up, or do you dive deeper into that? Questions that you ask, right? Let's say that you're in a listing presentation, you're in a listing appointment, all right? And you talk about it, and they say, well, the other person said that they could do it for a 5% commission. What can you do? Right? These are the things that we need to know and understand, and we need to basically be able to answer and have it sound as natural as possible, right?
And I think it's very important too that when you find your accountability partner or your script practice partner, that you set realistic expectations, right? You don't want to just seek out the nicest person in the market center who you feel like will say, Marissa, you did a great job, even if you didn't. You really want honest and true feedback because it's the only way that the both of you can actually grow and get better, right? So you guys will be friends, and that's great, but you know, set the business expectations. Darren, I want you to be honest with me. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, this is a totally judgment-free zone, but we both need to get better. So let's be critical and let's really dive deep so that we're prepared for all the situations in front of us.
Exactly, exactly. Don't just script and role play with the same person for years, okay? Move it around. Get some of the experienced folks that are in and say, hey, listen, do you have 10 minutes that you can, you know, spare with me? They would love to do it. Honestly, they absolutely, all right? And then find somebody on the same level as you, all right? So that you can actually help each other out. And then as you get better and better, you know, start reaching out to some of the newer agents that come in, all right? Be that mentor to them and show them what you went through and how you overcame your limiting beliefs, how you learned, okay, the scripts, internalized and made them your own, all right? And show them how they can do it too, right? That's the key to be
That's so important, Darren. Most important thing I learned from corporate America: first find a mentor, then be a mentor. And that's so super true in real estate. We all need help. We all need guidance. So when you're new, find that mentor. But once you find your step and you're doing well, then reach out and be a mentor, because I think we all need to remember what it's like to be new and just recognize that we could all use help and support and encouragement.
Definitely, definitely.
Darren?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Off-beat question. Everything you've read this morning, all this material in front of us, where can I find that? Because I thought I printed off everything, and evidently I didn't. Read, repeat, read, say, this whole page here and everything else. Where is that found?
These are the slides. So they will be on the Facebook group under the unit for today. It'll be dated today. These are the presentation slides. Some of them are not in the participant guide, but I can post those right now. I'll put them in the chat for you.
Okay, I thought I missed them, so I thought I printed off everything, like I said. Okay, that's awesome.
It may not. Yeah, I think I put it in there, but maybe I missed it. I'll check.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, Aaron, kind of along with it too, I noticed that you posted on the Facebook page the link to Glover U and Jeff's scripts and things like that. So that's excellent. Thank you for doing that. That's good. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So what sort of questions do we have? I know we've talked a lot here. I've said a lot here, but what things can we answer up to this point right now?
I have a question, I guess, regarding some of the clarity between, I know it's been touched on, but I understand the suggestion of really memorizing the script. But what happens when it goes off? That's, I think, the part that I think other people are saying that I'm also feeling is there seems to be this, let's practice the scripts today by calling people, yet we don't know the scripts yet. So therefore, when someone does say a question like what you mentioned, for instance, with somebody who has had an expired, if I were to contact them,
right,
I want a listing today, but I do not know what I would say if they had that. So that holds me back, because I feel like if I called them, I don't know what to say, then I've really hurt myself, because I then feel weird to call back in a week. So that's like that disconnect of being brand new, needing to put my 2 foot in front of each other, yet
right,
also really not knowing how.
Yeah, so if you look at the script book that you have, I'm just trying to grab where I have it here, okay? It's the Spark script book, all right? Go with what you know, okay? You're not gonna basically read every script under the sun, okay? Because I've actually got a drawer here of telephone book of scripts, okay? I could read every single one of those and go through that and be prepared for every situation. It's just not realistic,
okay,
right? Go and start to build up. I mean, it's just like building a house. We talked about the foundation, right? In the scripts, the Spark script book, if you look at this, the first couple of scripts that they use is basically new to real estate, new to Keller Williams, reminding them you're on real estate, calling referrals, okay? All that has to do with that first circle of people that we talked about, right? Those are the people that you know. And that's why we start off there. If you want to jump off and go into expireds, then that's awesome. Good for you. More power to you in that regard. But start reading the scripts on the expireds, right? Understanding that you're not going to handle every single objection, all right? There are going to be things that throw you off, but deal with that when that happens. For the most part, if you understand 90% of the objections that an expired can throw at you, and you've role played this, you've practiced, you've internalized it, and you know how to guide that conversation, then absolutely, then jump right in and do that. But it's the same thing like we were talking about. You don't see the athlete who gets drafted by the NFL team is like, yeah, I'm going to show up the first day on the game and I'm just going to go out and play,
Right.
Or the actor shows up. No. You take a step back. We got to prepare. We want to basically learn what we want to do, right? You want to jump in with both feet, okay? I'll tell you right now, first physical call I had, okay? I always picture this woman. She must have been a little old lady, but she ripped my head off, all right? I thought I was prepared. And I practice what, maybe 1-2 times? Great. There's a little old lady. That's all I pictured. She put me in my place. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready yet. All right, went back, scripted, went through. Much better calls after that, but it's you've got to be prepared. And that's what the script practicing does. Read the scripts that pertain to what you want to do, okay? And that's why we start off with this in the script book with that, because it's easier to talk to the people we've got that natural rapport with in the beginning, and then we start to branch out from there, all right?
Okay. I think that makes a lot of sense. I guess and it could be a lot of my own interpretation depending on what people are saying, but there seems to be a lot of emphasis on trying to get a listing right away and then that not feeling ready, but you won't feel ready until you do it. Like it feels like, so it's, yeah, I need to study them a little more too.
You could also sit here for the next 3 years and read scripts and practice with a role play partner and just do that. And you think that you're ready, but until you actually pick up that phone to do it, okay, you're never going to get that street smarts that goes along with it. Right. So you've got to at least at some point, take the plunge and do it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's good to practice and internalize, memorize whatever you're going to do for that to make it your own, but actually taking the action and going out there and doing it, right? Like we talked about before, I want to be the noun, but to be the noun, I got to do the verb, which is a work. And that's, study and then get out there and just start doing it. Okay?
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be tough in the beginning, but like with everything else, how many of you were able to ride a bike the first time, without training wheels? There's a process to that, right? Maybe it's a big wheel, then it's a tricycle, then it's a bike with training wheels, and then it's no training wheels, and it's a bunch of skin knees. But for the most part, there's a process to it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Bethany, you're not alone because Darren and I literally just had this conversation about everyone in our coaching program. Like Darren will take them and sit with them and train them and teach them everything. But as soon as you get your first deal, similar to as soon as you pick up the phone and use your scripts for the first time, you're going to need help in trying to anticipate everything. Like, okay, I feel confident with my script, but now when I make the call, if they say yes, I don't know what to do now. Trying to learn that process is never going to happen until you're engulfed in that process. But great thing about KW is there is always an enormous amount of people who know what to do, will make themselves available to help you, and will definitely help get you through it, right? So get confident with the scripts, make the calls, and everything else you can learn as you go because someone will help you.
Great. Thank you.
Matthew, you back on that real quick? I got a question here, Darren. My issue is kind of like piggyback on what Bethany was saying. Being a new agent, there's so much information out there that's being thrown at us right now.
Right.
And my issue is not so much with the script by itself, but it's all the other info that you need to know. So there's things that I can think of. If somebody asks you, so what's the commission rate for your company? I'm pretty sure this is info I can get from the market center at my office.
Right.
But just being ready with all this info in your head, I know there's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to know.
Right.
The kind of person that really feels more comfortable when I have facts. I need, like you're talking about when you go to the grocery store and you overhear somebody talking about selling their house, and all of a sudden you get into a conversation and next thing you know, they're throwing a question at you, and in the back of your mind, like, I have no idea what that number is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So just being comfortable with all these facts. I guess my question is, what are some of the other things that we need to focus on, even when we're doing the scripts, things that we should have ready answers to, like right off the bat? Somebody poses a question, you have the answer, and you're like, right, this is it. I know you can always revert to that whole, I don't know this, I'll get back to you, I can call you and, try to find out. But are there certain things that we should be focusing on as new agents? Just focus on this and know, just have a ready answer for, like a lot of stuff, just so you can feel comfortable, even with the script. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, right now, everybody feels like they're drinking from a fire hose, right? I mean, raise your hand, if that's what you feel like, right? Drinking from a fire hose, I got so many things that are thrown at me. I got Ignite, I got contract classes, I'm going to make calls, I'm going to do this. All right, time out. Take a step back, all right? You have a ton of resources everywhere, all right? But let's chunk it down, right? If you take a look at I know Gary has mentioned this, and I think it's in the book, the one thing, but you take something that's big and you start to chunk it down and make it so that it's digestible. The whole thing about eating the elephant, blah, 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 whatever. So take a look at what you can do right now. all right, and take it in steps. Break it down to make it easy, because so many people are jumping into step, 127, but they haven't even mastered step 1, 2, and 3 yet, all right? So start taking things in small bites. We've got Ignite here to walk you through the process, right? If you start taking a look at where we were on Tuesday, all right, with Heidi, and yesterday, and then through today, and where we're going, okay, we're building up that foundation. And everything that we're talking about here are things that you can be working on. Now, you have resources in your market center, right? You've got, maybe your broker does classes that are talking about contracts. So start to fill in some of the white space that you have in between doing the appointments and Ignite with some of these other learning modules, so you can get comfortable with that, right? If you have, do you have a productivity coach in your market center, and are you part of the coaching program there?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, all right. So I'm sure that they have a game plan. They have a layout for you. All right. They're not going to sit there and all of a sudden throw you out to a FISBO and say, hey, Andrew, good luck. I'll see you. Let me know what happens here. Okay. No, they actually have a process that they can walk you through as well too. So take a look at what we're doing at Ignite. Try to get the bigger picture of what's going on. Take the steps that we say, the homework that's involved in it, right? Script practicing, getting an accountability partner, doing that. Start to build it up, because you'll see at some point down the road, you're going to be like, this all clicks. I got this now. I know this. Excellent, right? You're not going to have all the answers. Even now, I go on an appointment. I don't have all the answers, but you know something? I know where to go, though. All right, now just tell them. And it's one of these situations where you just have to take what you can, chunk it down into the bite sizes, and start to learn those things on a smaller basis, right? Check out the resources that you have there. Reach out to your productivity coach and say, like, okay, I've mastered this. Where do I go from here?
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Sure. Definitely. Well, anything else?
I think it's interesting that the conversation went in this direction, because we were talking earlier about limiting beliefs and whatnot, and for me, I wasn't quite sure how to put it out there until we actually went off on this branch of the conversation, because for me, I think one of those limiting beliefs is, okay, like what happens when this all works?
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody and you're going through the scripts and there's literally no objection. They're like, yeah, I would love for you to come over and show me what you can do. Oh God, okay. that kind of a situation. So knowing that these resources are available is definitely a helpful part of this.
Well, yeah, and it's good that you bring that up, Eric, because honestly, right now, again, I go back to that. Everybody's focused on step 127. It's like, all right, let's start small here. All right, we're making calls to get appointments. If we don't have appointments, we don't have to worry about the agreement. If we don't have the agreement, we don't have to worry about contracts, and we don't have to worry about closing. If we don't get that first step, all that other stuff doesn't work. So if we're just focused on talking to people, getting our name out there, speaking to people. Then when we get the appointment, it's like, okay, I got the appointment. Now what do I do? All right, let's focus on that right now. All right, instead of the fire hose, now we're actually going to just be working on, just a garden hose at this point. And let's start taking that next step. But until you have that appointment, worry about what you can control at this point, which is just getting the appointment.
Yeah, fair points. Thanks.
Sure. Absolutely. So, well, let's see here. We are, okay, moving along here. So tell you what, why don't we take a 10-minute break? Okay, it is now about 10:41. Why don't we take a 10-minute break, come back, all right? We're gonna go into breakout rooms, all right, where everybody can script practice in groups of about 6 or 7 agents, all right? But let's take a break. I know everybody could probably use it at this point. Now, I know that the tendency that happens is that as soon as we get to the point where we're going to script practice, we're going to role play and do it, people start to scatter. Okay, that's typically what happens. However, all right, you don't have to sit here and you don't have to script practice. All right, you don't have to do that, but you also don't have to be in real estate either. Okay, that's the thing. If you want to get better and you want to be in real estate, it's a good idea to do this. You're amongst friends here. All right, this is the way that we actually get better, and then we're going to support each other, and that's the environment that we have, the culture here at KW, right? So come on back, 10 minutes, all right, 10:52 here, all right? We'll gather, we'll get everybody into the breakout rooms. We'll do some script practicing, and then we'll go from there, okay? Sound good? All right, I'll take that as a yes.
Sounds great.
Marissa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Does that sound better?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Christian. I have a quick question.
Hi, Christian.
Hi, are we using the Spark Ignite script book when we go into the breakout rooms?
Yes, I'll go over that in a minute. So absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Good question though.
Thank you.
All right, we getting everybody back here then? Another minute or so? Everybody get a chance to get some more caffeine too?
We're ready to go. We're ready to practice, Darren.
Darren, before we get started,
Sure.
Sorry, it's my daughter.
No worries.
I am going to put a poll up for everybody. And besides today with the confusion of the link, I'm going to put a poll up regarding getting the link for the session. So if everybody could just take the poll, that would be amazing.
Thanks, Jen.
So there it is. And that fourth question should have said, I like having the link sent out by email and in the Facebook group. I don't know what got cut off.
Yeah, I think, Jennifer, I have found the information's been great and easy to access. Like this morning, I didn't see it immediately in my email, so I just went to Facebook from there. So getting it both places would be great. If that isn't much harder, it doesn't seem like overkill to me. It's like it's just right there then. And when you go to log in at 5 minutes to 9 because you're late and you're waiting to get your coffee.
I hear you, Stacy. So I'm happy doing the email and Facebook posts. I just don't want it to be overkill and too much communication for everybody with emails in the morning. And I'm going to ask everybody here, there's 129 of us on, if you could throw your email address in the chat box, I would greatly appreciate it, because the registration list I have, some of those emails are just not going through. So if you could all throw your email in that chat box, it would help me out tremendously so I could get the right emails out in the morning. Thank you so much, guys. And Darren, how is your volume?
Can you hear me? Does that sound okay? Volume's good on my end.
I think it's just the mic. It's just a little bit muffled, but we could work on that. So.
All right, I'll make sure to speak up louder then if that helps.
Thank you. And thank you guys for your feedback on the poll. I really appreciate it.
Perfect. Okay, good. Jen, I understand that you have the controls for the breakout rooms. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the next 15 minutes. So we'll do to 10 after 11. We'll have everybody get into breakout rooms, about 6-7 people. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of these scripts, one of the first scripts in the Spark script book. All right, because you guys have read these the last couple of days. And we're going to actually internalize them. We're actually going to go off of, our own version. All right, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do that as a role play. Okay, so pick the one that you're most comfortable with, that you know of, that has the major points that you know, and you're going to script practice and role play one of those by making it your own. Okay. Sound good? Anybody have any questions?
Sounds good.
All right, perfect. Okay, so Jen, I notice you got your assistant there as well. So, but whenever you're ready, we can go to the breakout rooms. Perfect. Thank you.
If you're just jumping back on, we are breaking out into breakout rooms to go over a script practice. So accept the room that was given to you and head over to your group. If you haven't joined your room yet, just click on that button that says join room and you'll go into the room where they're script practicing currently.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody.
That was a short one.
Yeah, just gives us time to kind of get our, the blood flowing, get us ready for working on calling folks now. So, all right. So how did it go? Did anybody run into any like particular difficulty or something that came up that they weren't prepared for?
I was saying the part of the script that I hadn't actually like memorized was the part where I started getting a hiccup on because it was just so unnatural for me. I like blanked. I had to pause for a second.
Sure, and that happens. That happens.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is if you are role playing, we mentioned this in the room that we were in, but if you're role playing with somebody and they come up with something and you're not sure where to go with it, just say, hey, look, can we pause this for a second? I'm not sure where to go with this. Can we talk about it? Get some feedback. All right. Just understand. So that way, then you can go back into the role playing and take it down the path that you need to go. So,
But mine
was that I'm so new that I still haven't gotten my app up and all that kind of stuff. So, calling people and being on the script where I'm saying, hey, I have a new app, but I don't even know what the app is and forget it. And I'm still trying to, work on that.
So, I mean, that's part of the script that you may not, touch on right now, but you know what the next steps are, right? Download the app and start going through it. So it's actually walking you through the process. So.
I don't know that this is a positive or negative thing, but I found that I so genuinely enjoyed the initial conversation catching up part of the script that I neglected to probably get to the point of why I, was calling in the first place, which I think it was good to, create a dialogue, and I enjoyed catching up.
Right.
But I probably need to keep in mind, to get to the point at some point.
And the great thing about this is that when we go through and we do this, we're going to, in the beginning, we're actually going to have these conversations, and it's going to be where we're going to have like maybe a half hour, 45-minute conversation because we're catching up with people. And there's no problem with that. It's not a problem, but as you become more and more efficient, and as you basically talk to people, you'll get to the point quicker because you'll know how to direct the conversation. But catching up with people, take as much time as you want because you're basically reconnecting, and it's you want it to be natural. If you're calling up saying like, hey, I know I haven't talked in 6 years, but are you going to buy a house? All right, that's not the way it works. But have that conversation. There's nothing wrong with that. So, absolutely. Good. All right, perfect. Let's see here. We have about a half hour. We're going to be cutting it about 11:45. Let's hear. Why don't we take 15 minutes right now? I know it's kind of a short time, but we want to get in some like objection handling at the end. So why don't we go until 11:30, okay? And have everybody put yourself on mute and make a call or two out to folks to actually get in the habit of now incorporating what we just role played. I know it was awfully quick, but we want to make sure that we understand how we can do that and what we can do. We'll take ourselves off of mute at 11:30, and we'll spend the next 15 minutes just going over objection handling for anything that came up, all right? So take the time now, put yourself on mute, make those calls, whatever you're going to do, and then we'll get back on at 11:30, okay? All right, we got about a minute. So for those folks that are on a call, if you you're finishing up, that'd be great. If you have actually had a call and you want to put in the chat what your results were, because we're seeing some good things out there. Actually getting some good things out there. Somebody said that talked to a friend who had a friend who's looking for an investment property, sending the info now. So that's good. All right. Somebody reaching out to folks through MLS, sending out postcards. Nice. Sent the app to a friend looking to buy in the next few months. Good. Made 3 calls, left 3 voicemails, asked them to text me a good time to call. That's good. A couple of voicemails, left messages, messaged a few people. Yep. Okay. All right. It's going to happen. You're going to have your good days and you're going to have your bad days when you get a hold of people. So,
Darren,
yeah.
so I had 2 calls that was funny, that I was talking to friends and telling them I'm real estate agent now. And sorry, the first response was like, yeah, I wanted to join this field. I want to be a real estate agent too. Can you tell us how to do this?
That's good. That's
It
good.
went away from like marketing myself and asking to sell or buy houses.
But think about this though too. Now that's a bit of a recruiting call that you have there. And if they join Keller Williams, you can build your downline. So you're actually accomplishing something with that call. So that's another path that you can take it down to do that as well. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So setting up an appointment to chat. Okay, good. Checked in with a possible vendor. Okay, excellent. All right, good. Perfect. All right, so why don't we actually jump it back here? So anybody have any unique circumstances here? We've got till about 11:45 here. Is there anything that came up that people weren't able to answer, or they weren't able to basically finish the call or get the appointment with, something that held them up, whether it be an objection or just the way the conversation went? Because we can certainly role play that. We can come up with some ways on how to handle that.
Is there what kind of a message would you leave for someone who, because I struggled with that. I left a message, but I don't think it was a great one for someone who you haven't been in contact with. So I didn't want to just hang up the phone, but of course it wasn't a conversation. So I left a message.
Yeah. So how do you know this person?
So I was in a salon. I worked at salon for 17 years. So she was my client for about probably 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So listen, I'm just reaching out just to see how things are going. I know we haven't talked to you in a while since, the salon days. Just reaching out to see how things are. And actually, I've got some news to share with you. So when you get a minute, if you wouldn't mind calling me back, that'd be great.
Okay.
So, absolutely.
All right. I probably went into a little too much detail, but
yeah, that's fine. Just keep it as high level as you want, knowing, the relationship with that person the best. Good.
I would have a question.
Sure.
In the last couple of days, I contacted people who signed up for my Facebook ad, as a lead, and I called them back after 3 months. And my question is that how should I start the conversation when they pick up the phone and I introduce myself? Mm-hmm. So it shouldn't sound that weird, that because usually they don't remember me.
Yep. Okay.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and I'm just saying that, you clicked on my Facebook ad, mm-hmm. And that's why I have your contact information. So it's too much to So I have to tell them the whole story to them to remember me, you know, and it sounds weird.
So what was the point of the Facebook ad? What were you trying to do with the Facebook ad? Were you trying to get leads? Were you trying to get
it was a listing, so I advertised the listing.
Okay, all right. Now, did you have the call to action on the ad at all, like telling them to learn more about the home here, or what was the premise behind putting the listing?
I think it was learn more. Yep.
Okay, all right. So they were basically calling about the house themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, no, that's fine. Now remember, when we get these Facebook leads, all right, what we're doing is we're getting a tremendous amount of people who clicked on the ad, everything was pre-filled and automatically uploaded to command. So we're building our database, right?
Yes.
These people here generally are going to be long-term nurturers. All right, it's a way for us to increase our database, to add people there. So if you come in with a database of 30 people, you put out a Facebook ad, you get 30 more people, you just doubled your database, right? Yes. So we got to remember, they're long-term nurturers. So when we call them, we're not exactly going to get the appointment right away, but we're going to continue to nurture them over the long term. Chances are they haven't taken the first step on anything. So what I would do is I would give them a call and I would say, hi, is this so-and-so? Yes, it is. Hi, this is Darren with Keller Williams. I'm actually just following up. You had clicked on an ad that I posted this weekend on that house at 123 Main Street. It's the blue colonial that had the pool in the backyard. So just curious, what drew you to that ad? Why did you click on the ad? What was it about the house that interested you?
Okay, I got it. So I did it when I did this ad. It was a couple of months ago, and I set up the quarterly calling, and so 3 months went ago, and then I called them again.
Okay.
So now a lot of time went by, and maybe they don't remember me.
Okay. Well, you have to find out what the parameters were in that first phone call. So in that first phone call, what I would do is I would say, all right, what was it about the house that you like?
Okay.
And they say, well, you know, we're just looking right now. We don't have anything serious. I saw the house. It looked cute, you know, nothing much. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I get that a lot. The house was fantastic. It really good. And it went quickly. You know, 2 days on the market, we already had 10 offers. So I can certainly appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What are your real estate plans? What are you looking to do? What are you doing right now? Do you own a house? Do you rent? You know, just curiosity, you know, start asking questions and find out what their plans are. So that way, if 3 months ago, I'd say, well, you know, listen, we're not looking to do anything. Let's say I'm pregnant now with twins and we're going to need a bigger house, but that's for like 6 months down the road. We can't do anything right now. Okay, fine. Absolutely. I get it. Not a problem. 3 months from now, I'll probably give them a call again while they're still getting my information behind the scenes. I'll just check in and say, you know, how are things going? You know, everything moving along? Are you still on track for, let's say, 3 months from now? I'm planning on doing something. Absolutely. And that's great. Then tell you what, maybe what we might want to do as we get closer to that deadline is let's get together and maybe start talking about some things that you might be looking for in a home, things that are must-haves that are important to you. And then that way, when the time comes, you're going to be better prepared to actually do something rather than trying to scramble at the last minute. Okay. Getting together this weekend, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, definitely. What else? Anybody else come across anything? Boy, I made some easy calls here, right? Huh.
I called like 5 contacts, but I had to leave messages.
That's fine. Not a problem. Not a problem. And you're going to get that typically midday. You know, people are right now working or maybe they're on a lunch break and, you know, doing something else, something like that. But you can always follow up with a text saying like, hey, you know, that call you got was just me. I'm just checking in just to see how things are going.
Okay.
You know?
Hi, it's Louise. So I still have an issue of getting people off the phone.
Okay.
So once we start in a conversation, we just get chatty. So I have to work on that. I have to work on maybe starting the conversation, although it's not in the script, of saying I only have a couple of minutes, or how would you approach that?
No, I would do the same thing. If it's somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, give yourself the time. All right. You don't want to limit them to like a minute and a half and say like, hey, I've only got, you know, 30 seconds. Just call and say hi. I know we haven't talked in 7 years. Don't do that. So if it's somebody that you just talked to recently, you know, just call them up and say, hey, listen, I'm about to jump in a meeting, but I was thinking about you the other day. So I just wanted to give a quick call and just see how things are, you know, and I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're probably at work, you know, either one, you could use either one of those. And just preface it by that. And then that way, what you're doing is you're setting them up for the fact it's like, hey, listen, I understand you're probably going on your way to lunch. Let me let you go here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was trying to get the mute button off.
No, that's the Zoom world we live in. So absolutely. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into the chat. I'm going to put my email address. I'm going to put my phone in there. And if you run into situations, or if you are looking for a role play partner, or you just need some advice on anything, and your productivity coach isn't available, or you've got questions about what we went in through here, that's my information. Just reach out. Anybody that wants to sit in on any one of those 8:15 or 9:15 practice sessions that we have, if you don't have one readily available where you're at, just let me know. Give you the Zoom link for that. But any questions you have, feel free to reach out. So I know we still got a little bit of time. We've got 5 minutes. So anybody have any situation that they want to script practice and role play real quickly, or any questions that came up that might have stumped them that we can just chat about real quick? Maybe something that happened, you know, prior when you're doing stuff, or maybe something that you might anticipate running into?
So Darren, a question that I've been running into, that I've been seeing as I'm kind of making the small talk with folks, the, you know, oh, hey, I just changed jobs with people I've just met. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm a realtor. They almost always say something about either how hot the market is, or geez, what a market you're getting into, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed something you did earlier was you kind of put a question to it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like the when you said that, I think a couple hours ago, it was like, so are you a buyer or a seller?
Yeah.
Would you recommend that that is a tactic we can use to immediately try and engage them to see if they're actually interested, and maybe we can lead them down a path?
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody says, how's the market? And you'd be like, oh, it's good. You got nowhere to go with that, right?
Yep.
You say, well, how's the market? I said, well, you know, honestly, that depends. Are you a buyer or a seller right now? You know, because if you're a buyer, it's a tough market. You know, money is cheap right now. Rates are very low, which is great. That's working in your favor. You just got to work a little bit harder to get a house. If you're a seller, wow, yeah, there's been no better time to actually sell your house currently. So, and then that leads to more conversation. So like, oh, okay, great. You know, and say like, so does that either one of those pertain to you right now? And see what they say. See where that goes.
Makes sense. Thank you.
What you're trying to do, and I know we've seen it before in some of the other information that's out there, is that we want to be the economist of choice. We want to be the real estate resource. So if somebody's saying, you know, asking about a particular market, you know, then we want to make sure that we have that information available. I'm always checking at least once a week the MLS stats, you know, that come up at least in our MLS with information that's in there. We had a class last week talking about other ways that we can pull in data so that we can be, you know, informed and educated. And somebody asks us that question, then we can find out their motivation for asking the question while still giving them the information.
Gotcha.
Hey, Darren, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Is there any specific technique if you are talking to people that you know are renters currently, they do rent? I know the whole question with are you a buyer or seller should appeal to somebody who's renting to buy, but is there any certain way we should go about, because I do know people that actually do rent houses, and they've been doing this for years. I don't know what their financial situation is, but I'm assuming some of them can actually afford to buy a home. But is there a certain way that we could go about talking to these folks when we're talking to them, knowing what their situation is?
Absolutely. Say like, listen, you know, I mean, I know that you've been renting for a while. Have you considered buying a home, building up some equity? And say, well, yeah, I thought about it, but we're not in a position to do that. It's like, oh, okay. Now, do you know that for sure? You know, is that 100% true? Well, I don't know. Okay, we'll tell you what. Just so that you kind of have a game plan, if this is something that might work for you, let me put you in touch with one of the lenders that I have there. They're better able to determine whether you're ready to buy a house now, or at what point you will be ready. They'll be able to tell you what you need to do in order to get ready if you're not ready now. So at least that way you have a game plan, you have an idea. And if it's something that you want to move forward with, I'd be happy to help you out with that too.
Yeah, that's true. Because yeah, a lot of them typically give you that same response. They're like, I don't know if I can afford a house right now. But then I guess from what you're saying, the best thing to do is actually ask them, have you actually tried to look into getting some, you know, getting a loan or something, a mortgage? So yeah.
Talk to the specialist, you know, talk to the specialist. Say, hey, that's not my qualified field. However, let me put you in touch with somebody who knows all about that. And they can tell you. And either you're ready or you're not. And if you're not, they'll show you what you can do in order to get yourself to a position to be ready.
So at that point, is that when you would look to the referrals you got from the other agents about the kind of lenders they use, or can we also push the Keller Williams loan department, which I don't know much about yet? But
At Keller Mortgage, what I would do is if they don't have the app, say, tell you what, let me do this. Let me send you my client app. It's my digital business card. It's branded to me, so that way you can reach out to me. But it also has this nice feature on there where you can actually talk to Keller Mortgage and begin the process of just finding out if you're ready to buy a home or not.
gotcha. Thanks.
That gets them to interact with the app, get to use it, become more comfortable, search for homes, reach out to them, and then you get the information in command automatically.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Thanks.
Darren,
yes.
I have a potential client seller. She's been contemplating putting a house on the market for several months. She wants to do it, but she knows the market is hot to sell. But she's concerned about what she's going to go into. Any suggestions?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to put the house on the market, you can always use the contingency of like the sale is contingent upon, you know, a seller finding a home of their own. Okay. So that way somebody may win, you know, the offering on the house, but you can actually hold up until the point where you find something on the other side that she can move to. So I would say begin the process of looking to try to narrow down what it is that she's looking for. And then as she's ready to start looking at houses, you can always put the house on the market with that contingency.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. So I know, I think
Hi,
we're
can I ask a
running.
question?
Yep, yeah, real quick. We got one more, and I think we got to click off after that. So yep, go right ahead.
I just got a listing. Going to do some door knocking this weekend, and I know there's a FSBO in the area, so I wanted to knock on that door.
Sure.
What do I say to them? I know I'd already done the research and found out they'd been on the market already with another realtor. Wasn't successful. He decided to do it on his own.
Right.
So what kind of things should I, he said, why should I pay somebody thousands of dollars? I've already done a tour of the house. Why should I pay someone thousands of dollars? So give me some suggestions if you would.
Sure. Well, obviously he didn't get the value that he thought with the last agent, right? So I would
Right.
go over and I would say like, all right, you know, here's what I can do. Here are the things that I can offer. All right. And these are the things that I'm willing to do. Now we're a full service brokerage, all right, which means that you're going to get 100% focus and service from me. All right. Now, yes. Okay. You didn't have a good experience last time, but what was it about that experience that didn't work for you? What was it about the other agent that you didn't like? Right. If I could show you the value that I can bring, okay, would that be a difference to you? Are you prepared to put in 58 hours into a particular transaction, get it done? All right. Ask them if they've had a pre-inspection. Start putting these doubts and these questions into their mind. Ask them what they're going to do for the negotiation. Is it going to be them or their lawyer? If it's their lawyer, remember the lawyer gets paid by the hour. So if those negotiations drag out, that can get very expensive. You actually have a fixed value to what you're doing, what you're bringing, right? But you've got to basically bring that to them, show them what it is you can do and how you're going to be different and stand apart from everyone else and get that house sold. Now is the perfect time to be doing that. You know, this is a seller's market right now, okay, for most of the U.S. So if you're in that region and you're there, I mean, hands down, it's a great time to do that and show the value that you bring. But put doubt and the question in their mind as well, too, when you're over there, okay? Show them how big a project it's going to be for them and how you can alleviate all that pressure. I'll handle the showings, okay? I'll handle the negotiations. I'll handle the paperwork, all right? I'll make sure if there's any inspection issues, we can do that. We can take care of that. If there's an appraisal issue, we'll deal with it with the lender, all right? Anything along those lines, that's all my responsibility, so you don't have to worry about it. And oh, by the way, where are you moving to anyways? And start getting into that motivation discussion. There's so many different angles that you can take with a for sale by owner right there, right? You're planting the seeds of doubt in their ability to do it, but then you're also showing how you are a licensed professional. And this is what you do all day. This is your job. This is what you specialize in.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Yep. And we just got the word that we have to end this. So thank you, everybody, for coming today. I really, really do appreciate it. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Appreciate Marissa and Jen and Aaron for everybody helping out here. Thank you so much. If you need anything, please reach out. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Great job, everyone, today.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Take care. Have a good day, everyone.
Good class. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
I'm ending the meeting, so it's going to be rude. It's going to shut you off. Have a good day.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.